Hey guys, welcome to Girls Frontline 2 with the announcement of Helen dropping on April 23rd. Let's take a look at Helen's kit, her dupe recommendations, plus let's take a look at possible team comps right now and in the future. So let's summarize all of Helen's kit. Starting with her class, she is actually a bulwark class, but when she's fully invested at V6, she turns into a good main DPS. But will it be good enough? That is the question. So she is of freeze element, which is going to support most of your or all of your freestyles, and she also uses a shotgun. So let's take a look at her mechanics here. Most of her mechanics are same as your regular freeze dolls. She does have Aegis, by the way. So Aegis is takes damage within 6 tiles from Helen. Will share 100% of initial damage on their behalf. So it's like a protection for a single ally, provided that they're in within 6 tiles. Then she does crit damage up, attack up, defense up, frost drive. For each layer of this effect, freeze damage dealt is increased by 20 to 60, considered a buff. Hold your horses, because this is not what it seems. It needs to be opened up with a specific dupe. She does have extra command over edge. For each stack of this effect possessed, critical rate and freeze damage dealt from basic attacks is increased by 10%. This effect can be stacked and is consumed after performing an attack, so cannot be dispelled. Then she does have the usual ones: frozen, frigid, fear. She removes fear, I think, and infatuated, and taunt. She does have shelter, and the last of her skill is called Glory to Mommies. Prevents holder defense from being reduced to 100. Cancels when holder's HP falls below 30% and cannot be dispelled. So technically, her kit is a mismatch of buffs and protections. Of course, she's going to be a bulwark, and also probably the best bulwark right now once she actually releases. So let's take a look at all of her skills here. First is Sentinel. This is a basic attack. Selects one enemy target with 6,000, deals freeze damage equal to 80% attack to them. So take note, this is not physical damage. This is freeze damage, which is one enemy target within 6 tiles. Okay, then the next one is going to be Aegis buff. It's going to be a damage share. Most of bulwarks do have damage share. Not all, but I think 2 that I've known, including her. So this one selects an ally excluding self within a 6 tile radius, applies Aegis to it. If unit with Aegis takes damage within 6 tiles from Helen, she will share 100% of initial damage on her behalf. That's 100%. She'll take all damage on the initial damage only, as well as cleansing, taunt, fear. Aegis will be applied only to one target after skill usage gains extra command, meaning she can do an action again. Okay, at vertebrae 4, however, the Aegis is going to be if fatal damage is taken while sharing damage, Helen will not die and recover HP equal to 100%, 150% of her defense. So when she takes fatal damage, she gains HP to, not being able to die. And also, the friendly unit with the Aegis deals 30% more freeze damage. So not only does she give defense or protects an ally, she also gives a buff or 30% freeze damage buff. But however, this is at vertebrae 4. So we'll talk about the vertebrae later on how important you're going to be looking at building her. Next one is so this one is S1. Next one is S2. Shield charge, active buff, tile, and defense. Selects one tile within a cross-shaped area of 4 to 8 tiles and lands on the selected tile. So this is going to be north, east, west, south in terms of direction. All added units along the path will have one debuff cleanse and gains frost shield and absorbs 100% of Helen's initial attack damage up to a max of 100% of the target's maximum health. Generates frost tiles along the path for 2 turns. For each ally unit, excluding self on the path, the effectiveness of the frost shield is increased by 30% and restores 2 points of stability to Helen after skill usage. Helen gains 6 tiles of additional movement and can use her basic attack. So this one is actually nice. Even at Vertebrae 1, which most likely will get is going to be applying critical damage up to for 2 turns. But this is going to be applied in a straight line. So as long as your allies are in a straight line, this is really feasible. What if they're scattered around the map, and especially on boss stages, most of the time you're scattered across the map. So this is probably case to case, if I may say. At Vertebrae 5, the corresponding number of layers of Frost Drive is gained. So for each allied unit, excluding self on the path, excluding Helen, so additional 2 points stability restored and Frost Drive. So Frost Drive is for each layer of this effect. Freeze damage dealt is increased to 20 up to 60. So how does this work? If she passes through one enemy, so that's 20%, not one enemy, one ally, that's plus 20%. So if she passes through 3, then it's going to be a freeze damage dealt increased up to 60%. So if it's only 1, it's 20. If it's 2, 40. If it's 3, 60. So she needs to pass through those number of allies in this weird direction. But again, it is what it is. It's a nice buff, but however, again, it's going to be available at Vertebrae 5. So we'll try to define the different stopovers later. So let's proceed first to the ultimate skill, which is Banner Sentinel. Ultimate and a buff selects an ally excluding self within a 6 tile radius and applies attack up 3 and defense up 2 to them for 2 turns. In addition, reduces ultimate cooldown of all freeze attributed dolls excluding self on the field by 1 turn. So this is all. This is every freeze doll on the field. After skill usage, Helen gains additional command. So this one is where she will earn all of her praise in terms of her support, because this skill, the ultimate skill, is probably one of the best that I've seen in terms of a support, because she could also do command after this. So this one at Vertebrae 3, cooldown is reduced by 2. I think this is for the skill, and gain attack up 3 and defense up 3 per 2. That gains 10 stacks of over edge, reduces ultimate cooldown of freeze attributed dolls by 2 turns. So this from 1 turn to now 2 turns. Okay? So this is crazy. You could literally spam this because the cooldown of this is reduced by 1. Okay? More or less, overedge is for each stack of this effect processed. Critical rate and freeze damage dealt from basic attacks is increased by 10. Okay? That is actually for her. Is increased by 10. This effect can be stacked and is consumed after performing an attack. Okay, so this skill is really, really good. Aside from lowering the cooldown of all freeze attributed dolls on the field by 1 turn, you can reduce the cooldown of the skill, plus you gain 10 stacks of overage, which is going to be for Helen herself. Okay, so this one is going to be her bread and butter. Aside from being a DPS character, we'll go to that again. Next is a Fearless Valkyrie. This is her passive. Helen is immune to healing reduction effects, but cannot receive healing or effects that convert healing into damage. At the start of the battle, increase Helen's defense and max HP by 30%. At the start of each turn, Helen gains 2 points of Confectance Index, restores 25% of HP, and cleanses all debuffs from self. For every instance of damage taken, Helen gains 1 stack of Overedge. Okay, when Helen has Overedge, the damage multiplier of her basic attack is increased to 180. Before Helen performs a basic attack, her attack is increased by 50% of her defense. Okay, and this one scales by vertebrae 2. So increases the stability gauge to 16, reducing damage taken by 50. Each time you take damage, you gain an additional stack of overage before performing a basic attack. Increase your attack power by 30% of your defense. And the last one, which is going to convert her into the main DPS that I mentioned, which is vertebrae 6. Before performing a basic attack, increase Helen's attack by 70% of her defense. When a friendly unit takes damage, gains 2 stacks of Overedge. While having Overedge, the damage multiplier of the basic attack is increased to 300%. Okay, let's have a recap for a bit. While Vertebrae 6, is going to be impressive in making her a good DPS character, probably your main DPS, this is going to be good just for now. Aside from future characters coming in, namely OTS 14 and namely Sopo, she's gonna be contributing a lot of your DPS now. But once those characters come in, she will still have good, if you have her at V6, she'll definitely contribute more DPS. But is the V6 really worth it because you're getting more powerful dolls in the future for future DPS? So that is the question that you have to answer, whether the risk of upgrading to V6 is worth it or not. So let me break down all of the stopovers. At V0, she is going to be very, very good. Not very, very good. Good. Okay? Average good. She's very serviceable at V0. You don't need copies of her. Between V0, you don't need copies of her. At V0, she definitely is going to be okay if you don't have her copies. That is what I meant. If we talk about from V0 to V3, what scales? Okay, so from V1, she adds critical damage up to this skill. Then at V2, this is going to be for the passive, which is going to be increase your attack power by 30 for your defense, increase stability gauge. But the best part of the support capabilities of Helen is going to happen at V3, which is crazy because the cooldown is reduced by a third of the ultimate skill, and the reduces ultimate cooldown of freeze attributed dolls by 2/3. So it doubles from 1/3 to 2/3. So this is gonna have an impact on the skill rotations of all your dolls, more or less for the good, not for the bad, because it's gonna be decreasing a lot of turns for their ultimate. Not only one, but all of them on the field. Okay? All of them on the field. So, from V0 to V3, if you can go to V3, I think you should go to V3, definitely. V3 has the best defense, not defense. V3 has the best support advantage, support effect that she can give. At V0, definitely she's gonna be good, but at V3, she's the best support that you can have. V1 and V2 are kind of small add-ons, but V3 is where her value is as a support. Okay, that is where she lies. At V4, this is where we get more offense for her. So V4 is not only offense, but this is still a buff for the ally with Aegis with 30% more freeze damage. This is nice, but kind of okay. But at V5, which this is where again she will earn more buffs or give more buffs to her allies. So both V4 and V5 will give additional, additional buffs, but not as, not as impressive as V3, which reduces the cooldown of all freeze attributed dolls for their ultimate skill. And also, the best one is at V6 because this one turns Helen again into a massive damage dealer for DPS. And again, if you're looking for Helen as a support, then go with V3. If you're looking to have her now as part of your main DPS team for freeze, you could go with V6. But as I look at the future dolls for this game, I think you don't need to have her at V6 unless you want her to be at V6. Let's take a look at other details here, courtesy of Retempest, based on her damage output and future team comps. So while we're on this topic. So this is where her damage multiplier, in terms of being a main DPS, where the spike is at. So she spikes at here at vertebrae 2 and vertebrae 3. This is for her damage, Plus, there's a very big spike at vertebrae 6 at 381. So again, if you want her to be the best support plus a decent DPS, go with V3. Go with V3. Go with V3. Not even the weapon is required at V3. But for V6, if you want her to be a monster of a DPS now because you need help for your freeze team, then definitely go with V6 plus the signature weapon. But again, I will caution you as we move and get more freeze dolls for the team component. Okay, the team component for your future freeze is gonna look like this. Okay, either this is team ice and fire, this is pure ice team. So your ice and fire will have Lorelei, which we'll be getting soon as well. She might be subbed in by Helen should you wish to. Okay, but for the pure ice team, if you can see here, Helen is here, but you will be joined by OTS 14 and you'll be joined by Sopo. So based on this alone, the DPS here will be concentrated more on these three here. You have OTS, you have Robella, and then you have Sopo. So what I'm looking at is down the line, Helen will be mainly used as support. Her DPS will be, what do you call this, will be appreciated, but again, I feel you don't need to bring her to V6. V3 would be your optimal stopping point. So in addition to the future team comp that we saw, the current team comp that I am looking at for her, excluding Lorelei because she hasn't dropped in yet, will be this. We have Maki, we have Ro, we have Helen, we have Alva. Plus, if you want to add more damage to this team, I think you will need Voy Mastina here. So this is where I'm looking at for the current team that you will be using. Again, right now, if you have Helen at V6, R1, this would really help your freeze team. Don't get me wrong. But again, if you just have her at V3, all of these three dolls here, freeze attributed dolls, would really benefit from her tremendous support and for her good DPS at V3. Again, it's really up to you guys. Again, if you want to go with V3 or V6, but look into the future and decide for yourself on how you're going to be building your freeze team, just in case if you want to build it. And for me, as for my personal opinion, I'd actually bring Helen to V3 because from what we will be getting in the next few months and probably more into the future. So let's go over her fixed keys here. Fixed key 1. At the start of the turn, Helen gains 3 stacks of overage, which is, I think, must equip. Then fixed key 2, when performing basic attack against boss units, freeze damage dealt is increased by 20%, which I think is another must have. Unless if you want to swap this out for, another skill, but you could have this both. This one at fixed key 3 performs a basic attack, dispels 2 buffs to the enemy from the enemy target. So this one is definitely going to be a situational for the boss. You could probably have the first two. Fixed key 4 is at the end of Helen's action, applies 2 stacks of shelter. And her allied units with AGs. Then we have at fixed key 6, glory to mommy. So at the start of the turn, if Helen's HP is above 30, she gains glory to mommy's, prevent her defense from being reduced below less than 100%, cancels when Helen's HP is below 30%. So what I'm looking at is 1, 2, and 5 at this moment. For the sixth one, reduces stability damage taken by 2 and grants immunity to stun and fear. So I think the best fixed keys here would be 1, 2, and 5. And number 3 is optional should you need more dispel for the enemy buffs. Then we do have the affinity key, attack, HP, and defense. And for the common key, it's a plus 5% in defense. If the user's defense is greater or equal to the target's defense, their damage dealt is increased by 10%, which is doable for Helen herself. So next, let's take a look at her recommended weapon. So she does have Silent Aegis, which is her signature weapon. Her signature weapon, I'd like to recommend you get this once she gets to V6. At V3, you don't really need her signature weapon. She's more of a support, not more of a DPS. So Expeditionary Pigeon would be good, and also Mezzaluna. I am thinking of using Mezzaluna on her because this one is Sabrina's gun, and I haven't used Sabrina for a while. So this probably would be a good weapon for Helen at this point. Expeditionary Pigeon would be available in the Battle Pass should you need this. And for the free-to-play option, again, you have Mezzaluna Heartseeker and a 12-gauge double-barrel shotgun. So that is it, guys. Those are the things that I think you should know before Helen drops. Dupes, team comps now, team comps for the future, how to build her depending on your preference, of course. And more or less, I am excited to have her on the freeze team because I'm building my freeze team now. Not all in, but kind of choosing my spots and where to invest, because the freeze team is high on investment, and Helen definitely should be a middle investment, not really the one that you go all in for. But again, guys, depends upon you. Comment down in the comment section what do you think. Take care, stay safe. This is the Warden, and I'm out of here.